Greetings, fellow mortals. Just a reminder, saying it's just my opinion is for cowards. Like, I actually believe that everything that comes out of my mouth is facts. People really need a reality check. Elf. It's probably my second favorite Christmas movie to watch every single year. It goes Klaus, Elf, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, and The Polar Express. There isn't a Christmas where I don't watch all of these films, and I always enjoy them. But I realize that they are not perfect. Just look at Elf. I want to ask you something very, very personal. If Will Ferrell wasn't in there, turning everything up to 11 and selling you on the idea that he is in fact Buddy the Elf, would this movie be as good or as beloved as it is? That's a rhetorical question. Of course not. If any other comedian or actor tried to be Buddy the Elf, they would have failed, and the movie would have been lost to time. And just FYI, I'm going to spoil everything about this film, which is kind of weird that I have to say. Elf is 20 years old this year. It's an hour and a half. It's a classic among classics. For everyone who has seen Elf, welcome. If you haven't seen it but are watching a video about it, you might have a problem and might be a weirdo. And that problem is that you have never watched Elf. Go do it now. Why are you still here? For the love of God, why are you wasting your life being a giant fuck? Sorry about that. Anyway, Elf is the story of Buddy, a human that snuck into Santa's present sack as a toddler. He was in an orphanage originally, so Santa and the elves decide to raise him in the North Pole. Despite having a loving environment, Buddy feels out of place being a 6'3" man living in a place that is way too small for him and with people who have far different skills than he does. He overhears that he was adopted, so he ventures out to find his birth father, who doesn't know he actually exists. Buddy has a wild adventure through New York City. The culture shock between the cheerful and loving environment of the North Pole and one of the most abrasive locations in the world is pretty strong to Buddy. Despite facing many troubles and obstacles, Buddy manages to win over almost everyone he encounters with his sheer genuineness, including his half-brother Michael, his love interest Jovi, the people in the mailroom, and eventually even his father Walter. But not Peter Dinklage character Miles Finch. Honestly, I know that Miles is portrayed as slightly pretentious and insecure, but look at his interaction with Buddy from his perspective. It was really, really bad. I do not blame Miles for wanting to drop kick Buddy through a wall. If I was Walter, I would have just said that Buddy was special needs just to brush everything under the rug.
Look at you!
After that fight, Walter drives Buddy away in anger, leaving him sad and downtrodden. But that's when Santa's sleigh falls into Central Park. Buddy has to use the skills he learned as an elf to fix the sleigh, and his inspiration to others gives them enough courage to show their Christmas cheer and spread joy across the city, providing the sleigh with enough power to fly without its jet engine. And everyone lives happily ever after as Buddy becomes a successful children's author, has a child with Jovi, and brings joy to the lives of his family, both biological and adopted. Just heartwarming, truly. But the main problem with Elf has to do with that ending. The entire plot could be told through a children's book with virtually no differences. That's how basic the movie plot is. If you think about it, there isn't anything stand out about the story. Take away Will Ferrell, plug in someone else. Would this movie be as good? Would it be a classic that people adore 20 years later? No. There aren't really any ideas or concepts that makes Elf stand out. I will admit the humor and jokes are still pretty funny, but the North Pole culture and the Santa are rather by the numbers. So are the other characters. Not a whole lot of depth. It is Will Ferrell's performance as Buddy which takes what is a by the numbers Christmas movie and elevates it to another level. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. Not everything needs to be world-changing. Some things are allowed to just be good, like Leo, or Reacher, or Lost in Random, or Chorus, or a book called The Whisper Man that I read this year. Nothing about the overall writing is absolutely fantastic. It's the heart and passion from the people involved that push it over the top, that make me fond of them, even if they're not masterpieces. Some things are allowed to be just good, something digestible that you're fond of, but doesn't change everything about what you think and believe. If I had the power, I wouldn't change a single thing about Elf. It's exactly what it needs to be. It allowed Will Ferrell to take an okay story and sell it for all of us. In that way, the movie's actual real-world impact mimics the plot of the story. Buddy is so charismatic, lovable, and genuinely kind that you can't help but fall in love with him. You want to be better because he believes in you. That's the beauty of a static character who changes the world with their viewpoints instead of the other way around. They go out, face everyone trying to shatter their beliefs, and come out stronger. All the while, the perspectives of the people around them change instead. Think of something like Hacksaw Ridge or One Piece, where the main character shatters other perspectives through their belief and their kindness.
That's beautiful, man.
It's through this lens that Elf becomes so beloved that it became a classic film, despite every single fancy critic in the world poking at it and being pretentious and thinking that they're better than having a good time. And that's what Elf is. It's a good time. It makes you feel happier after you watch it. It makes you have more hope for the world. It makes you want to be a better person. And what makes better art than something that makes you feel and inspires you to be better? It doesn't matter that the script is by the numbers, that most of the characters aren't flushed out, or that Walter's character development is done like Whiplash. There's real emotion and passion in every corner of the movie, and people feel that every single time they watch it. I have yet to find a person that hates this film and is not a troll. Even if they don't like it as much as me, they still enjoy it. They always say they love Will Ferrell in it. He was the key. I can promise you that many people just viewed this film as a paycheck until he came in and gave it 120% for the role. I always wonder if some of the reactions from the people around him aren't completely genuine. No acting, just someone smiling and laughing because Will Ferrell's making the situation a good time. And that's just a happy thought for me.
That the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day.
In terms of being a solid script, there's nothing wrong with Elf. Everything is set up and paid off like you would expect. You could dissect it and see that it is a solid little story with slightly rushed character development, mainly with Walter. But that's one of the things that I love about storytelling. Sometimes it's not about the facts of the situation, about how solid a script is, about if there are plot holes and drop storylines. Sometimes it's about the presentation and the love involved with it. And that's what makes Elf the perfect Christmas movie. So many people argue about this time of year, about what to say, about what to do, about what to feel, about the past and how that bleeds into the present. But really, all it takes is a little cheer to take what should be a dismal time of the year and turn it into everyone's favorite. I'm still happy, and I just looked out the window and I saw that there is hail out there. Yay! This is the start of winter after all. Coldness, darkness, lifelessness. But for that short period at the end of December, there's a temporary reprieve for many different people, and Will Ferrell as Buddy exudes this feeling in Elf. It makes the film special, something that many films that are written and directed brilliantly can't match, and in that sense, Elf is a masterpiece. You're welcome to disagree with all this. That's fine. After all, everyone is entitled to their objectively wrong opinion.
Merry Christmas, Charlie Brown!
Hey, do you like stories about an interconnected world? Then consider giving my LPCO books a try. They are all connected in some way, but you can jump in at any point, unless it's a series. Then you have to start at the beginning. But I got 3 books out right now and 3 coming next year. You will not have to wait long for content. Either way, thank you. I appreciate you. Do not despair.